Well, good afternoon and welcome everyone to our second Southern Fire Exchange live from the field. We're live on Zoom and Facebook this afternoon, and I'm excited that you're here. We have a bunch of great guests today, and I think it's going to be quite a cool event. My name is David Godwin, and I'm the director of the Southern Fire Exchange program with the University of Florida. And I'm joined today with Mary Nell Armstrong, who is with our team through Tall Timbers Research Station. In our live from the field programs, we're looking to connect fire professionals and fire scientists from across the South as they tackle fire management challenges, develop new knowledge, and look to move fire forward. Live from the field, if you've joined us for some of our webinars in the past, are designed to be shorter, less formal. We're going to have fun than our normal fire science webinar series. So it's live. We're in the field. If things go a little crazy or don't work as intended, that's okay. We're going to do the best that we can and try and learn from each other today and get to know about some cool folks doing neat programs. So today we're actually going to North Carolina to talk with staff and participants at the North Carolina Women's Prescribed Fire Training Exchange. We have Carrie McCullen, who is with the North Carolina Forest Service. We have Jennifer Fawcett, who is with NC State University. And then we have some folks in the field that will be joining in just a minute. We have Jessica Ilse, who's with the U.S. Forest Service. I'd like to take just a quick moment to share a little bit of information about our program, Southern Fire Exchange, if you haven't joined us for programs before. SFE is a regional program for fire science delivery in the Southeast, and we're a collaborative among the University of Florida, Tall Timbers Research Station, and NC State University. We are funded by the Joint Fire Science Program, and we're the southeastern branch of the nationwide Fire Science Exchange Network. Working with our network of partners, we try to develop programs, opportunities, and events that bridge the divide between the fire science and natural resource management communities. So it's now my pleasure to introduce our speakers today. Like I said, we have Jennifer Fawcett, who is with NC State University. She is on the management team at the North Carolina WTREX this week. Carrie McCullen is with North Carolina Forest Service, also on the team, helping to put together WTREX this week. And we'll join Jessica Ilse in just a moment, and she's with the U.S. Forest Service. She's going to join us from the field. So welcome, Jen. Welcome, Carrie. You want to tell us about what you guys are doing this week?
Sure. Yeah, I'll start with just what TREX is in general, and we can start there. So and my role here, by the way, I'm helping to kind of coordinate the overall WTREX event, but I'm also one of the plan section chiefs here this week on the incident management team. So TREX in general is a program that was designed back in 2008. So the TREX is called a training exchange. It kind of just takes a couple pieces of that to build the word TREX. It was originally developed to increase the number of qualified and experienced prescribed burners, and also to enable more prescribed fire projects. So each landscape is a little bit different in their prescribed fire needs, but we also want to keep the individual communities in mind to wherever these events are being held. So a number of them have been held since 2008. We realized at some point back in 2015, there was an event where there were several women at that particular event, and they just got to talking about how interesting and fun it would be to do an event where it was primarily focused on women and women in these leadership roles. And so the year after that, we did our first WTREX event in California, and we've had several since then. So this year we brought it to North Carolina, and really our goals with these WTREX events, it's the way that it's run. It's kind of a 2-week training exchange. It combines a lot of live practical fire experience. So Jessica's out in the field today doing her FEMO job out in the field, but also on days when we can't burn, we use those opportunities to provide indoor training opportunities as well, and lots of discussion and really helping people to advance their qualifications and experience in both wildland and prescribed fire management. So the W part of it is the women, but really it focuses on people of all genders, all agencies, all backgrounds, just really trying to build a support network for those underrepresented fire practitioners who are working to advance their leadership in prescribed fire management.
So could you talk about who are the folks that are attending today? Who was able to join the WTREX and who's joining you guys today or this week in North Carolina, and where are they coming from?
Sure, David, I'll take that one on. Again, my name is Carrie McCullen. For the WTREX event, I am the lead public information officer for the team. So I am helping to provide information to the public as well as to the participants internally and our cooperators, and sort of bridge that gap and make sure that everyone has all of the information they need about the fire or for the event itself, the prescribed burning. For our participants, they went through a rigorous registration process in order to register and apply to be a part of this event. There were many applicants, and fortunately, I was not on the team that was responsible for going through the applications and picking the folks that did attend. It was a very hard task for Jen and some of the other folks to weed out some of the applications there, but we do have over 40 individuals that have been part of this WTREX event. About half of those are actual participants, and the other half have been on the incident management team working to manage the event itself, make sure that the cogs in the wheel are running smoothly and everything's going great. Of those 40 individuals, so both participants and incident management team members, they are representing over 25 agencies or organizations. So many are state or federally based, some are nonprofits, other NGOs, a variety of different orgs. There are 16 states and territories represented, Puerto Rico being one of those, from which Jessica comes from. So she has a great experience and background from there. And we are actually representing 4 countries. So of course the US, but also Germany, Canada, Nova Scotia specifically, as well as Australia. We have participants from all 3 of those continents, or all 3 continents, 4 different countries. We've all banded together here for the 6th annual WTREX event, and we're making a really, really great time of it and enjoying our time together and learning.
That's impressive. That 40 people and 3 different international locations outside of the US and then across the country, including Puerto Rico. That's a pretty impressive distribution, geographic representation. So could you all talk about, what are you actually doing over the course of these 14 days while you're gathered together in North Carolina?
Sure. So it's a mixture of many things. Obviously, prescribed burning is our focus. We're hoping to be able to get as much burning done as possible, as far as helping our cooperators and partnering agencies, those land managers around. We're supporting Nature Conservancy properties, state government properties, which Jen will allude to a little bit more in a bit. But we are actually out here training. That is the main focus of what our aim is. So many folks that have come to this event as participants, they have task books, they have certain qualifications that they're aiming to advance their skill sets toward. In the fire world, we have task books for different jobs, basically, and those task books are exactly that. It's a book of tasks that they have to get signed off on in order to fully function in that capacity, in that role. So a lot of our participants are working toward adding to their task books. Hopefully some will end up completing their task books, where when we send them home, they'll be able to fully work in that role once they get back to their home units. So it's really exciting. We are also doing training outside of our burning days. So not every day is a burning day, whether it's weather dependent or frankly, our participants need a break from the physical efforts of prescribed burning. It can be quite intense at times if you go for multiple days. And so we're taking time to learn other skill sets, how to respond to medical incidents on a fire line, how to work radios and work with communications, how to operate a chainsaw or repair or fix a chainsaw, how to clean one, different little training modules that we've been able to send folks through while they've been here with us. A lot of it is prescribed burn focused and task focused for that, but we're also trying to get as much in as we can off the fire line as well.
So, Jen, could you talk about, how did you end up getting involved in WTREX?
Sure. Yeah. So I was actually at that 2015 TREX that I mentioned. It was in North Carolina, and at that time it was the same burn window as we have this week, which is completely different. So we've had an awesome window this week. We've been out burning. This is our third day in a row burning. We're looking at possibly another one tomorrow. So the 2015 event was the complete opposite. We had an ice storm, we had hail, snow, and so we were just kind of hanging out indoors a lot. And so when we were chatting at that event, I, as soon as I heard that there was the possibility of there being this event that we had kind of talked about actually happening, I wanted to be a part of it. And I lived in California at that time. So I've been to all of the WTREX events that have happened thus far, except for there was an Indigenous Women's TREX earlier this year that I wasn't able to participate in. But yeah, so it was really just a matter of happenstance. And I've been involved in either a PIO role or some sort of plans role or some sort of role at all of the events. And it's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot from every single event is very different also.
Well, cool. Well, thank you so much for talking. At this point, it looks like Jessica's over. She's set up in the field. Do you guys mind if we go ahead and switch over to see if she can?
Yeah.
All right, let me see if I can pin her video. All right, Jessica, can you hear us?
I can.
Hey, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon. I guess we're afternoon at this point. Thanks for joining us today. Could you introduce yourself and tell us where you're coming from and what your involvement is this week?
Sure. I'm Jessica Ilse. I come from the Forest Service. I work for a national forest called El Yunque National Forest in Puerto Rico. And this week I'm here as a trainee as a fire effects monitor role. And so during this role, I'm really monitoring the weather and also monitoring the effects of the fire. Is the fire that we're prescribing to the ground, is it achieving our objectives?
Awesome. It looks like, are you guys burning today? I think I see smoke in the background. I see an engine for sure.
Yep, we are. We just started the test fire part to test to see if what our plan was, see if it is going to go to plan before we move forward and burn more of the area, to make sure we're getting the right consumption of fuels, to make sure we aren't getting too big of flame length. Yep.
So could you talk about what piece of property are you guys burning today? Is this public land, private land?
Yeah, so this is state managed land from the North Carolina Department of Agriculture.
Do you know how large of a burn unit you guys are looking to tackle today?
Today we're burning a unit that's 27 acres large. In my module, there's actually 3 modules burning out here today, and each one has a slightly different size unit, and I can't remember the acres of the other ones, but I know they're a little bit bigger.
Cool. It looks like good burning conditions. So how did you get involved with WTREX?
So I got involved because one of my colleagues in fire said, hey, this would be a really good opportunity for you to grow as a leader, as well as to gain more experience to prescribe fire, especially on the East Coast of the States, because I haven't had much experience with that. And so I applied. I put my application in, and they selected me. I was one of the lucky few who made it.
Very cool. So have you been to WTREX events in the past, or is this your first time?
This is my first time.
Very cool. I've been to El Yunque one time, and it was a beautiful place. the part that I went to was rainforest, and it didn't look like it saw much prescribed fire. Do you get to do prescribed fire back on your home unit?
So El Yunque National Forest is mostly rainforest and cloud forest, but in Puerto Rico, there are also refuges, Fish and Wildlife Service refuges, that we partner with them and help them with prescribed fires. There's also military lands that we help with prescribed fires. And in addition, in the national forest, we help each other out. We help out all the other agencies that need to manage fire. And so I do come stateside quite often to help with wildfires as well as prescribed fire.
Very cool. I've done one TREX event, and it was in northern New Mexico quite a few years ago. And, I felt like it was an opportunity to do, we called it pyrotourism, just a chance to learn about fire in different areas and different ecosystems. And also a chance to learn about the kinds of prescribed fire partnerships that it takes to put fire on the ground in different places. It's really interesting. I think doing events like this that you guys are all involved in, it really does give you different perspectives and ideas when you come back to your home units. And it makes you think about things like any kind of travel, right? It makes you think about things a little bit differently. And it just helps you to have a bigger picture as to what's going on in other places, but also to think about things at your local units in a different way, in a very productive way. Jessica, could you talk about, we're a science program, and we're really interested in connecting fire science and management through our fire science exchange and our partner exchanges. Over the course of these 14 days, does WTREX provide opportunities to connect science and management or tools with the attendees?
Yes, we've had several experts from the area come and share about the ecology and ecosystem here. And in my home unit, I am a biologist, and I've studied ecology in my university studies. And so I found it very rewarding to learn more about the ecology and what does fire contribute to the ecology of the system. It's a fire adapted system, but each fire adapted system has different nuances. And so we've had lectures from these experts sharing what the different fire regimes are like here, the needs of a longleaf pine, the needs of some of these rare plants that really rely on prescribed fire to be able to survive in the competition of vegetation that grows when there isn't fire. So it's been really great to learn that firsthand.
Great. It sounds like it's been an incredibly busy week. I think, Jen, you mentioned y'all have burned over 1,000 acres. And it's wonderful that the conditions have aligned to provide those kinds of training opportunities for everybody. Jessica, do you have any, well, we got you in a good connection to the field. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the folks who are on the line today?
I just say I'm really grateful for this opportunity. I know it's really focused on prescribed fire and building up people, but we're also building a community. It takes many to achieve many things. I think of my world as a mother, and it takes a village to raise children. And in the world of fire, it takes a community to be successful, keep each other safe, and to work together to really increase that scale and extent of restoring our ecosystems. As a biologist, fire is another tool in the toolbox to create wonderful habitat for our wildlife and to have clean drinking water. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. If your connection will hold, I'm going to spotlight Jen here. Add spotlight. All right, let's see if I got you both. All right, so now we have Carrie and Jen and Jessica. If y'all have questions for our folks from WTREX North Carolina, if you could go ahead and put them in the Q&A tool in Zoom. We'll try and get to the questions and see if they can answer them in the few minutes that we have remaining. Jessica, I see we have a question from Denise, and Jessica is Denise is asking, since you're working in Puerto Rico, are you bilingual? She said.
I'm not fully bilingual. I wish I was, but I am, I guess you could say, passable in Spanish. I work with my crews and do a lot of my work in Spanish. But I have moments of still learning Spanish.
We have a question from Amanda in Zoom as well. And this is for all of you. What change do you hope to create as a result of this TREX?
I'll go first on that one. Statistically speaking, nationwide, of all fire practitioners out there, whether they're working with wildfire or prescribed burning, only 10% are identified as women. So we're really hoping with all of this to balance the scales and bring up more women in the field, underrepresented peoples, anybody that can contribute and bring their skill set to the table of fire science and fire practicing is really going to be a benefit for all of us. Because we have such diversity in our group, people nationwide, other countries, we all learn something. So it's a real benefit to have masterminds that are all here together, learning in one space and sharing what things we can contribute towards each other's goals, and hopefully take back that with us to our home units, which mine is actually right here. So the forest that I manage is 10 miles down the road. So I get the joy of having all these folks right in my backyard. Jen? I think, go ahead, Jess.
I was just thinking that a lot of this, we're focusing on prescribed fire, but we're also building up future leaders who are learning to lead, not just from a directive way, but to lead in a supportive way, so that people from different cultures, different backgrounds, different genders, whatever they bring to the table, that we can work together in a healthy environment. And it's been a focus of practicing that. How do we communicate in a healthy way that we build each other up? And so that's been really great experience.
Yeah, I think they both said it really well. We had a session earlier in the week too, that kind of asked a very similar question. And what are the changes that we would like to see, and how can we go back and help to implement those in our home units when we get home? So I think that's, part of the change is helping to see women in leadership roles. Most of our IMT are women, and so just also retaining those women that are not only coming into fire, but then giving them enough experience and qualifications to continue to move up in the fire world and then stay there.
This is a good question in the Zoom, and someone is asking, when's the next WTREX? It sounds like you've already got some folks stoked and hooked to be put in applications to try and do this in the future. And then the follow-up is, what kinds of backgrounds and experiences would make for a competitive application?
Those are really great questions. So unfortunately, right now, the application periods for both of our upcoming events have been closed. We do have 2 international events this year, which is really exciting. We have one coming up in South Africa, March 21st to 30th, and then another one in Canada, May 1st through 12th. So this is a busy year for WTREX. We are not sure yet when the next one will be after those. We probably will know by this summer. So keep an eye on social media, and there's a TREX website where all of the upcoming events are posted. So it will be posted there. And as far as a compelling application, I mean, really, it's dependent on a lot of things. We look at what sorts of qualifications, and I should also mention, we don't just follow NWCG qualifications. It's a combination of people who are working on task books and people who really just want to increase their experience in fire. So you don't have to have an open task book or an NWCG qualification to participate in these events. So when we have a registration and we ask people kind of the question, what are you interested in gaining? What sorts of positions would you like to work on? What sort of qualifications do you have? And it's just looking at kind of all of those different things, and depending on what the needs of the event are, is how we end up. So it's probably different year by year, truly. So just in your application, if you're interested, include why you're interested in this event, and what coming out of it would it help you to bring back to your home unit. And I think we might have lost David. So Mary, now I don't know if there were any other questions that were in the chat box, but I might be able to open them up on my end.
While Jen is going through those, I can certainly give a little information on where to find more information about WTREX. We are on all the socials. You can follow WTREX in all of our activities, not just for North Carolina, but for upcoming events and past events. Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Women's Trex. So that's at Women's with an S, TREX, and you can get that information and all details of upcoming events in the past. We're also following different hashtags, hashtag WTREX 2023, hashtag Women in Fire, hashtag Good Fire, hashtag RX Fire. And in North Carolina, our governor this month declared February Prescribed Fire Awareness Month. And so we're using hashtag NC Fire to celebrate that. You can also find out more information on the WTREX story map. Just Google WTREX story map and you'll lead right to it.
Thanks, Carrie. So I think maybe we'll just do one more question from the chat here. I was able to pull it open. And Jessica, this is for you. Can you share a highlight moment from the WTREX so far? Was there anything in particular that has stood out for you?
Well, every day has been a wealth of new learning opportunities, so it's really hard to pick one. I'd say yesterday was a challenging day. It was a day that we had to not only burn a unit, but we actually planned it on the fly. Like in the morning, we got the unit, planned it, mapped it, coordinated with all these people in my module that we've only known each other for a few days within this training. We took that, we worked together as a team, we gelled together, and to see people growing and learning, many people are in training positions during that, was really amazing. We did that and implemented a night burn we had a narrow window to get it done in and to do it successfully and meet the objectives to reduce fuels but yet protect the longleaf pine. And we did that. We accomplished it, and we worked through challenges in communication, and we all learned from that, and that was a great experience.
Thanks for sharing that. I think we're out of time now. Marinelle, I don't know if you have audio or not, but I think David had wanted us to share our contact information. So maybe when he ends up posting this later, he could add that to it. But I can also just say it real quick. We can go around. And so my email is Jennifer, Jennifer_Fawcett@ncsu.edu.
Mine is Carrie, CARRIE.McCullen, MCCULLEN @ncagr.gov. And Jess?
My contact is Jessica, JESSICA .ILSE@USDA.gov.
Thanks. I know David had a slide for that, so we will be sure to answer that and any other questions. And I think Marinelle may have audio back. So Marinelle, is there a way for us to answer the remaining questions in the chat some other way, or will we get to those another time?
Yeah, I can save them. I can save the chat, and maybe we can send out a follow-up email with the contact information and everything.
That sounds great.
Thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you.
Thanks.